Welcome everybody to the Forest Forum. Good evening, hope you're all doing well, and welcome to a new show, the Forest Forum, because we've been listening to your feedback. My God, after that last score, with all the comments about, oh, you're talking over each other, can't hear anything, we've taken it on board as we always do. Gore is still here, by the way, but it's going to be one of the new shows that are coming to FFTV. So, hope you guys are doing well. Please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe as always if you are new. And let me just quickly run you through what's going to happen tonight. So, I know a few of you in the chat are saying clickbait title. I promise you, it is the least clickbait title you will ever see. I'll explain. in addition. So, what's going to happen is we've got some panelists. We'll be getting new guests on every week. What they're going to do, they're coming on with the topic of their choice, obviously forest related. They will speak for 3 to 5 minutes, uninterrupted, uncensored, as always. And then there will be a cross discussion on that topic for about 5 minutes after. There'll be 3 topics covered off tonight, and then we'll go into the teams with Bournemouth and all the good stuff like that. So bear with us. Let us know in the live chat and in the comments if you're watching later on. Do you like this format? What changes do you want to make to it, etc.? And we'll just keep adjusting stuff to make things good with you. Okay, so you guys know pretty much most of the panel. We got Esmondo. How you doing, bud? All good now with your makeup?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing
good,
well.
Good.
Now my makeup's done. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, good. We got Rob. We found Rob. Pulled him out of another barbecue. You good, Rob? We'll come.
Yeah, no barbecue today, so I can spare some time for good old FFTV.
Thank you very much. And the legend himself, Carlos, who is now world famous on Twitch as well. And obviously just huge on Twitter, or X as it is. Carlos, good to have you back, bud. How you doing?
I'm very good, very well. Excited to be back and excited for the season.
And I'm gonna put Carlos's Twitch, I always call it Twitter, the Twitch link in the description. Go show him some love and follow on there. Playing COD most of the time. He's got a Forest Discord as well. The chat's always talking Forest in there as well. So make sure that you do it. I did warn you, bro. I did warn you about him. But, you know, you just... we've got... And the legend, by the way, guys, before we start,
James, nice.
Love to my boy, Lee Boy Chappie, man. It's good to have you back, Lee. It's good to have you back. Yeah. Now they're back in the Premiership. He can, he's no longer ashamed of his club. He can show his face again. It's good to have him back. So, all right. Well, stop talking. Ant will be on this show as well, right? Ant is an extremely good debater, by the way. So,
he's a massive debater.
No, we can't fight back. Ant, if you're in the comments, I'll defend you, Ant. Okay. So we're going to kick this off and we're going to start. And this is why I'm telling you now that the topics are not chosen by FFTV. FFTV cannot be held responsible for any of the panelists' guests or opinions, whatever the disclaimer is. And the one that's in the title was actually put together by our mate Carlos. And I have been dying all week to know how this one's gonna go. So I'm gonna set us up here. And Carlos, are you good to go? And we want to get this kicked off.
I'll kick it off.
The subject of your thesis is Murillo the weakest link. The floor is yours, mate. And chat, get your thoughts in. I'll be putting on a poll when Carlos finishes whether or not you agree with what he's saying. It's all yours, bud.
Right, yes. So I'm going to put it to you guys that Murillo at the moment is our weakest link. And hear me out. Let me explain why. Okay, so one of our biggest problems last season was set pieces, yeah? We would all agree when it set pieces. We couldn't handle them. We were conceding most games from set pieces, crucial goals, crucial times. So if you look at the defense now, most people's back four that they're selecting for this weekend is Sells in goal, Murillo, Milenkovic, Williams, and Aina. So I put it to you that is arguably the same back four as last season, because all you're doing is you're just replacing Boly with Milenkovic. Very similar players, both very tall, not the fastest, good in the air. Okay. So why would the defense be any better this season with just swapping basically the same player? Boly and Milenkovic, too similar. So what I would do for this weekend is I would actually swap out Murillo, who is absolutely terrible in the air. If you look at his stats from last season, I think he's got like a 1.2 aerial duels won ratio compared to someone like Boly, who's got 2.9. So I would propose we start the season against Bournemouth with a Boly, Milenkovic centre-back pairing, mainly to combat the set pieces, and that actually changes the defense up, because if we're just leaving Murillo in there with Milenkovic, it's pretty much the same as last season. I don't see how the set pieces defending is going to be any better. Also, we need to start the season off well. We've got a great opportunity. We've got 4 games that 3 of them are very, very winnable. Bournemouth is the first game. Let's get off to a great start. Let's not have any mistakes. Murillo has had a terrible pre-season. He's conceded 2 penalties. He's been responsible for a minimum 2 goals in pre-season. Now, I know you can't always judge players on pre-season form, but when you've had such a bad pre-season, questions have got to be asked. I would rather start the season off with a really secure back 4. Williams you can have if you want, Aina on the other side, but the 2 centre-backs, 2 big, tall lads, Boly, Milenkovic, yes, they haven't got the pace, but they've got the quick thinking, they've got the intelligence, they're experienced. Also, Boly owes Bournemouth one, doesn't he? Do we all remember what happened last season when he got that red card? So, this is maybe the redemption game for Boly. He can come in, man of the match, probably get injured after the first game, and then Murillo will have to play. But I would definitely suggest we start with Boly and Milenkovic. Another reason as well, dare I say, Murillo could be a one-season wonder. Could he be a one-season wonder? And has his head gone after we all saw the interviews he did this summer in Brazil, where he was saying like Forest are a stepping stone, just sees us as a way to get to a bigger club, and all this other stuff he was talking about. Has his head gone? Is his heart in it? I put that to you. So that's my argument for Murillo being dropped. I think he's the weakest link. I think he's got mistakes in him right now, which we really don't want for that first game of the season, because that could be a sliding door moment for the season. If we win that, that's 3 points on the board. We go to Southampton, get a draw. That's looking good. 4 points on the draw, even get a win, 6 points. But if we lose that first game because Murillo's been beaten by Semenyo on the wing because his head's not in it, then we're all going to be a bit gutted, aren't we? And are we going to give Murillo the same slack we gave him last season? Because now we know that he doesn't love Forest as much as everyone thought he did.
Oh, okay.
All right, so chat, before I open up to the panel,
I can carry on more if you want, but I mean,
well,
If
let's
you've got more, go on.
Just before you do, Carl, just before you do,
I think I've covered all my points that I had noted down.
Yeah, I've put the poll up in the chat. Do you agree with Carlos's hypothesis, shall we call it, or not? There's just a straight up yes, no. I can tell you.
Can I just say one more thing? Before we move on? I want to be clear. I do like Murillo. I do think he is a potential star, but even last season, he had errors in his games. He needs to concentrate on his defending. It's all very good, these long passes, these runs he goes on and as a shot and stuff. That's brilliant. I love that side of his game, but he needs to be a solid centre-back. You can't get away with the mistakes he makes in the Premiership. he needs to concentrate on his defending. I'm not suggesting that he doesn't play all season. I'm suggesting we start with Boly and Milenkovic. And then, look, Boly's going to get injured. He's not going to play more than 3 or 4 games, is he? And he'll get injured. He'll be out for 10. So Murillo is going to come in at some point. But, you know, maybe ground him a little bit, not being in the team straight away.
Okay, let's open this up. You are getting pelters, mate, in the chat.
I can't read the chat and talk
Yeah,
about
expected it,
didn't
didn't
you?
Getting pelters in the chat. Give them both barrels. I don't care if you feel like he's a fresh fish. We don't let anyone come on here and not give their opinion. But shout out, fair play. He's come on. He's given his opinion on this one. I'm going to open up to the boys on the panel to have their say. But get your votes in because, I mean, you're not doing too bad, Carlos, for the topic you picked. 25% are on your side. I don't know if you got your mum or something in
I thought there would be.
Yeah, but maybe you put a compelling argument together. Let me open it up to the panel. Ez, what was your take on that? Do you agree with Carlos? Start off with that. Okay. You're on mute, mate. You're on mute.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm back.
You're back, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think Carlos's last comment actually is what killed him, because I think we all agree if Boly had stayed fit last season, Forest would not have been in the mess that they were ended up in. So Boly not being available all season is the reason why we needed a Milenkovic coming in. Milenkovic is a Boly replacement, not a Murillo replacement for me. And like I say, I'll go back. That's my main point. That actually, if we'd had Murillo, we'd had Boly fit. I don't care who he would have been partnered with. I think he was a key defender that we missed last season. And Murillo made up for it by being the last man on many occasions. So I don't think Murillo's the problem. I think Boly's injury record last season was the issue. And that's why we had to bring Milenkovic in. And I'm much more confident with Milenkovic and Murillo paired together, because I think we'll get maybe a full season out of our centre-back pairing. But so that would be my retort for that. That I don't think Murillo was the issue. It was Boly's fitness was the issue last season. And if he'd stayed fit, we wouldn't have been in the relegation mess we were in last season. I think everyone would agree with that. I hope.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. Right of reply, Carlos, before I jump to Rob.
I mean, yeah, you know, Ez makes some good points, but you know, there was many times where Murillo got beat in the air at set pieces last season, which led to goals. Many. Just having Milenkovic there next to him isn't going to. I don't think that's going to eliminate those goals still being conceded, because Murillo is still the same height. He ain't grown. Not the tallest, is he?
Okay.
I mean, you're saying that in front of
maybe
Ez.
Ez has just got an affinity
Yeah.
with people in the
It's standing united with Murillo. But all right, let's bring Rob in on this one, Rob. You've heard what Carlos has to say. Well, one, do you agree with him? And two, what are your thoughts
I'm going to try as hard as possible to try and agree with him and see if I can convince myself. So I would agree that there was some weakness in the air last season, and that it was partly to blame for our weakness against set pieces. There's a couple where he sort of headed it up in the air rather than clearing it. You know, and the difference between Murillo and Boly is that Boly actually scores goals. We're still waiting for this first goal from Murillo. He's had a few attempts at wonder goals, whereas Boly was, you know, for games played, his goal-to-game ratio was not half bad. So those would be the arguments in favour of Boly. Having said that, yeah, we can say that Murillo made some mistakes last season. Like, you know, he tried to dribble the ball at Anfield and gave it away, but so everybody made mistakes last season. You know, Omar Bamidele made mistakes last season. Niakate made mistakes last season. So why does everybody else get a free pass? It's only the sort of scrutiny that Murillo is under. And it's partly because we relied on him so much. He had far too much to do last season. You know, when you've got like 20% possession, I honestly felt like he was the last line of defense last season. If you remember that West Ham game where Felipe got done, he lost the ball on the halfway line, and then Antonio went on a run, and then who was there to nick it off him? It was Murillo. Yeah. So for every mistake he's done, I'm thinking about 2 or 3 goal-saving tackles he made away against Sheffield United as well. So of course he's a young player, he's inexperienced, he's going to make some mistakes. But if you're looking for a defender that doesn't make mistakes, I don't think we've got any, right? And as for Boly himself, right now, this is where everyone gets annoyed with me. Boly got sent off in the equivalent fixture last season. Let's just remember that. Now, yes, it was a refereeing mistake, but it was a second yellow card. So he was on a yellow and he fully committed himself to a tackle.
But it was a great tackle.
He won cleanly.
It was a great tackle.
Yeah, but it got... So, but I still hold him... You can't hold him 0% responsible for that, right?
I think your point on that, Rob, sorry to interrupt. Your point on that was that the first yellow was the mistake from him, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first
and
yellow
my retort to that was that the first yellow would have left Solanke one-on-one with the goalkeeper if he hadn't taken that foul.
Oh, no, he took one for the team.
All right, let's not revisit old ground. Let's stick to the topic.
Okay.
All right, let's keep it on this one.
So I think we relied on him too much, but I'm looking forward to him getting even better this season. I'm actually looking forward to him developing a relationship with Miguel, his countryman, who's come from the same place. So you've got that aspect. We're trying to fix the weakness on set pieces and in the air by bringing in Milenkovic and Miguel, right? I don't think you have to...
Yeah, but Miguel ain't going to start, is he? It's going to be Sells.
Well, he is in my team. He is in my team.
Yeah, but
you're not manager.
We've all got teams that are probably different, but let's be honest, the reality is Sells will probably start at the weekend, won't he?
He probably will.
That later.
And this is hang on as well. This is the same Sells that everyone criticises for making the odd mistake and says should be sold and got rid of. But yet Murillo gets a free pass. Apparently, he can make as many mistakes as he likes, and it's fine. It's Murillo. He dribbles the ball and has a shot. It's fine.
No, I'd say that he compensates by the other defensive work that he does. And I would just end by saying, I think you may be a little bit too much influenced by what you've seen in pre-season, where admittedly he's looked dodgy. His head's not been in it. But I think as soon as he pulls on the shirt for a Premier League game, we'll see the player that we had last season. And I'm not sure that he's going to improve by being dropped, right? It was used on Gibbs-White to good effect one time, but I'm just not sure about Murillo because, if you're dropping him and the transfer window is still open, his agent's phone is going to start ringing. So I think it's a dangerous thing to do unless you're actually looking to exit him from the club.
I'd argue it's not dropping. It's not dropping Murillo. It's just not starting him this season. If he was to play the first game, then not played, then he was being dropped. But first game of the season, it's not really being dropped. It's just not being played.
One more retort to that, Carlos. Don't you think it would make us a little bit more static? One of the things that Rob's just mentioned there is how mobile we were, how mobile Murillo is, and he was the last man on
that's
many.
That's a good point. That is a good point. And it is a risk because Bournemouth do have two really quick, tricky wingers, don't they? So yeah, it's a fair point. But I feel like that's not. I don't think that'd be an issue for Milenkovic because I think he's too big and strong and clever and quick thinking. But yeah, it's a potential problem for Boly. But I think he'd be.
Look, if we're up against,
we'd have two pacey fullbacks to cover him as well, won't we? So
listen, if we're up against a team like the Toffees, for example, who are renowned for their set pieces and their corners, I can see us if we're 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go, pairing up Boly and Milenkovic in that center of defense, 100%. And horses for courses, I think you'll see a lot more of that this season from Nuno. He's got a lot stronger squad, as we've mentioned. The bench is a lot stronger than it was last season. The options are going to give Nuno headaches at times this season. So for the odd occasion during games, I think it's a fantastic pairing. But to start the season, I think you've got to go with Murillo and Milenkovic. And I think that's Nuno's thinking, to give Murillo a steady partner throughout the season. That is, he had to chop and change his centre-back pairings on far too many occasions last season for injury reasons. And if Boly had stayed fit, I'll go back to it. If Boly had stayed fit all season, we wouldn't have been anywhere near the relegation battle, in my opinion.
Right, we'll wrap this segment up. And unbelievably, since you guys have been debating this, the percentage has swung to Carlos.
Are you joking?
I mean, I'm neutral on this one. Like I
How
said,
many voted?
So it's
I haven't voted either. I've not
68%.
voted.
It was over 200 have voted. 68% are saying no. 32% are agreeing with Carlos. That was down to 25%. So you two on the panel are doing a crap job defending Murillo by the sounds
They're not
of it.
listening. They're not listening.
They're not listening. So, chat, that was bias. That was,
Someone in the
that
chat
was the
just said
first one.
that I've said stuff about Murillo without having any evidence or something. It's like I just literally gave loads of explanation for my thinking. Like I haven't made it up. It's all facts.
Yeah.
So
No,
Please get you to
Crypto,
our
they're
chat
not.
call.
They're not with him. They're against him. It was
it's all
75.
facts, but it is also opinion, and I appreciate that people have got different opinions. And I'm not saying Murillo is a shit player. He is quality, but he just maybe needs to be managed properly and doesn't, expect to play every week. He's got to perform to a certain standard to be in the team every week.
Fair enough.
So, Carlos, quick one.
Yeah.
Have you put your money where your mouth is? So when we see your lineup, Murillo's not in your starting lineup.
You'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. I know. I'm going to hold him to it.
We can all change our minds through the podcast, can't we? And have different teams and what we've suggested right now.
Right. Just a quick shout out. Forest Till I Die becoming a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Benny. The Battle for 10 months battling away. Thank you so much. And Paul, the 24 months. I think you're the first one to come up on stream with the 2 years. Paul, you're an absolute legend. You should have a new badge as well, Paul. So thank you so much for the 2 years of support, buddy. And then we got the £2 from the legend Chris. What a complete pillock. There's your £2. Carlos, that one's pointed at you.
All yours, mate.
Much love.
Right there as well. You can't.
It could be anyone
like that. You know what I mean?
It's usually me. Was there with the £2? Bless Carlos. Great point, but we beg to differ. Okay, that was a nicer you're a pillock. Yeah. That was a nicer you're a pillock there.
Also, I don't think for a minute that Nuno is not going to play Murillo. He is going to play him. I'm just saying what I would do.
I think there's been a lot of people in the chat saying they get the point you're making, but don't agree with it. So there's a point within the point.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. We don't all agree, do we? Good.
The legend Lemmy with the 20 months. He'll be on the panel next week, guys. He'll have no doubt a lot of wise words to say. And yeah, here it was from A12B. I'm not saying he's right, but he does have a good point.
I'll take that.
It's very limited, Carlos. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot more expletives coming your way that I can't bring up.
I can't keep up with the chat. I just keep seeing insult after insult after insult.
Jasper with the 11 months. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate that. That's nearly the year
unsubscribing as well.
Huh?
Apparently.
Who else?
People are saying they're unsubscribing because
they'll be back. They'll be back.
Mate, we've only just got to 20k, man. If we lose it,
it's just dropped.
Yeah, we're back down to 15 now. Noah, the legend with the 199. Hi guys, excited to see everyone on Saturday. Don't get yourself banned this season, Noah. Yeah, watch yourself. And Crypto with the £2. He says, "I'm now convinced. I've never hated a player so much." That's Crypto, I'm not putting any tumbleweed on for you. All right, guys, please don't forget, we're going to move on to the second topic in just a second. Please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. There's actually more new subscribers, so how's that for you? And don't forget, this football prizes giveaway this week is ridiculous. You've got all kinds of goodies with it. Honestly, some would argue that the Insta prizes are better. The main prize is a signed Hudson-Odoi kit, Insta prize framed, all of them signed. Aina, Elanga, Sangare, 99, 299, and 199. You hit any of those tickets, you get one of these frames with their shirt signed. This frame is worth, I think, a minimum of 250 quid. Instantly yours. The link's pinned in the chat. Make sure you check it out and get your tickets because they are going like hotcakes.
And just to confirm, it is the new kit, so it is this season's kit.
Yeah.
But yeah, great prizes on there. Fantastic.
Cracking prize.
Tempted, man.
All right, we're going to move on to our second topic, right? I mean, we started with a bang. For those of you in the chat who's saying clickbait, was it clickbait? Let us know. Okay, we're going to move on to topic numero 2, and that's going to be Roberto kicking us off on this with his thesis of how many wingers do we need. So let's get Rob in the limelight. Rob, you got up to 4 or 5 minutes. Talk to us about what's on your mind.
Right, you actually removed one word from it. My question was, how many left wingers do we need? Right. Anyway,
Sorry.
as a preamble, because I get to speak without being interrupted now, which is fantastic.
Just say it by Ant, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think that the management team has played a blinder over the summer. Right. It's really gone well so far in terms of the people we've brought in and moved out and what they've been bought and sold for. I think they could be about to make their first serious mistake. Right. Now, I would actually like to take it back a little bit into history just to understand why we are where we are now. So our first season in the Premier League, we kind of played without wingers, right? We had Cooper's sort of 5 at the back or 3 at the back, depending on how you want to define it, with like Gibbs White floating around and Taiwo. We kind of played without wingers. Whenever he tried to, it kind of didn't work. So he went back into his shell. Now, if you go back to where we were at the start of last season, we had the following right-sided forwards, right? Johnson, who was then sold. Boly, who was at Olympiacos, remember him? He's a right-sided right winger. And then Origi, who was presumably brought in as a replacement. And he turned out to be utterly useless, right? At the same time, at the start of the season, we signed Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. Now, Hudson-Odoi, just to recap, is obviously a right-footed player that plays on the left. Elanga, supposedly a two-footed player, but I would argue Elanga produced his best work on the left side last season. Elanga really did most of because we know he's a stat packer, as Wolfie would put it. He did most damage on the left-hand side last season until he got injured, and then Hudson-Odoi had to be played in that position. And then when Hudson-Odoi made that left-sided position his own in the 4-2-3-1, the only opportunities that Elanga got were on the right-hand side. But he was in and out with, vying for position with like Origi and even Dominguez some games and Reina. So he just never got going as a right winger. And I think we'd all agree that Elanga went off in the second half of the last season. So if we look at who we've brought in over the summer, I mean, obviously Origi's gone now and Reina's gone now. So we've basically got Elanga to play on the right, where I would argue that is not his strongest position. Now, a lot of people might say that he had, quote unquote, a good preseason. And that's based on one goal that he's scored at Olympiacos, which was a deflected goal, by the way. He put on a good run at the start, but it was a deflected goal. Right, that doesn't suddenly solve our problems on right wing. So we've brought in Anderson, who can play left. He's a left-footed midfielder. Hopefully Sousa as well. Can play either side, but he's a left-footed player. Now I'm hearing that there is a real chance that Jota Silva might be going to Olympiacos. Right? I am extremely concerned about this. And I'm saying, do not, under any circumstances, do this. Right? Now, how many wingers do we need? I'm a little bit puzzled by the signing of Sousa when obviously Hudson-Odoi is that's his position, and then Anderson is back up, and Elanga can also play that position. I do wonder whether Elanga was being lined up for a move to Newcastle. We're not sure about that. He might be second or third on their list depending on who else they get. So it's all still very, very much up in the air. But we must not give Jota Silva the Scarpa treatment, right? We've already sent Josh Boly to Olympiacos. He played 4 games, ended up playing at Cardiff City last season, where he wasn't bad, but I don't think he's really done much for him as a player. Now, I was really excited when we signed Jota Silva, the Portuguese Grealish, right? Because he's a proper right-footed, right-sided winger. So I am really puzzled by these rumours that he's going to Olympiacos. So all I would say is do not do that. And if necessary, if you're worried about having too many wingers, I know that that Nuno likes to have a tight squad, but then don't sign Sousa. I mean, Sousa looks like a cracking player, but how many left wingers do we need? If we're keeping Elanga, if we've got Anderson, if we've got Hudson-Odoi, how many left wingers do we need? I don't want to go into the season with 4 left wingers and no right wingers. So I'm very concerned about this. So I'm using my platform to say, Do not do that. Do not give the Scarpa treatment to Jota Silva, because he'll never come back. And I also think it's a very bad way to treat a player, right? That you bring him in and you do this old bait and switch. You're going to be a Premier League footballer in Greece, yeah? I mean, they can't offer him Champions League football this year. Olympiacos were third, right? Okay, they're defending the Europa Conference, but they can't offer him Champions League football. So you'd think that he wants to play for Forest. And I thought that this was all about Nuno bringing in Portuguese players. I thought that there was a fit there. And these rumours I'm hearing, it sounds very, very troubling. End of my point.
Okay, interesting. So, boys, what do you think here? Basically, if I've read Rob right, he's saying if Jota goes, we are completely left-sided here, and Elanga should be playing on the left-hand side. What are you saying to it, Carlos? You're on mute, mate. You're on mute.
Well, sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, you make some good points, Rob, but what I would actually say is, looking at our four wingers, Jota Silva, Sosa, Elanga, and Hudson-Odoi, I mean, Jota Silva is mainly a right winger. I mean, he's left-footed but plays on the right, so that's a right winger. Elanga's been playing on the right as a right winger, so that's two right wingers there, and you've only really got Sosa and Hudson-Odoi that are left wingers. I think three of them are actually right-footed, so you could argue we're probably more heavily sided on the right-hand side if you go by the traditional right foot, right side principle. And also, I'd say in this modern day football, most teams, you look at Man City, they may start with, say, Foden on the left and Grealish on the right, or vice versa, but during the game they switch. You know, they don't stay in those positions. Even Bernardo Silva is out on the wing at times. It's fluid, and that's how Forest really should be. You know, just because we start Hudson-Odoi on the left doesn't mean he should be just staying on the left. He can switch. I don't think we're left-sided heavy. I think they can all play on either wings. They're all right-footed apart from Jota Silva, who's left-footed. And they can all play on either wings. I don't think it's a big problem personally. I think it's a bit of a moot point.
Okay, Ez?
Okay, well, I will say that if we look back on the promotion season, we were so right side heavy, it was ridiculous. I think it was at 80% of our goals and our attacks came from the right side. And I feel like we've almost overcompensated. So to an extent, I do actually agree with Rob in terms of the balance of the types of players we got in. Now, Nuno was made it very clear that he was after wingers in his press conferences pre-season. And we have got them. And I do fear we've got far too many. Jota Silva is one. I agree with Rob, but I would like to see actually start, certainly be starting on the bench and be looking to get some minutes on Saturday. And I would not be looking to send him over to Olympiacos. Now, I agree with Rob again on this comment. Now, what have we sold him? Have we sold him a Premier League dream or a conference league with Olympiacos? So if we're going to be making those kind of deals with players, we've got to be a bit more honest with what we're offering them. I'm excited to see him, and I want also, because I think Nuno's having to resort at times with the lack of two fit strikers of going to a false nine every now and again. And I commented this on the last one. I'd much rather see Jota Silva in that false nine position than Elanga, which is what we're seeing at the moment. The only benefit I see with bringing Jota Silva in and at this time is to give a kick up the arse to Elanga. But then there's still rumours going on about Elanga being a target for Newcastle. So we might still see some movement down that right-hand side, which we are kind of lacking. So I've got to say, on a lot of this, I'm agreeing with Rob. I think we're over left side heavy. I agree with Carl saying they're actually right-footed players, but the way they play, I would love to actually see Callum Hudson-Odoi tried down the right wing just to see if he can get those crosses in, because he did it on a couple of occasions, like Carlos mentioned, where we did switch our wingers over. We didn't do it often enough, certainly not as often as a team like Man City do it, or even Arsenal, but we have done it at times last season. And maybe I'd like to actually see Nuno play show down the right-hand side a little bit more. and get a few more crosses into the box and have that ability, because we don't do it enough. On the flip side, the promotion season, we were all down the right-hand side. So we need to get that balance now. Good point, Rob. I'm kind of agreeing with you on that. I think we need to balance up our winger option.
I'll give Rob the right to reply. I am staggered by the amount agreeing with Rob. Like, it shows that Forest comes before their hatred for Rob, because they're also agreeing with Rob. But having said that, looking at the poll, only 58% are agreeing with Rob. This is blowing my mind. More of you in the poll have agreed with Carlos dropping Murillo than Rob saying that Jota should stay at Forest and not go to Olympiacos. So, go on, Rob. Your response back to the panelists and the poll, really.
Well, first, I don't think we should be buying people and loaning them to Olympiacos, not unless we need to do it for financial reasons.
I agree, Rob. I do agree with that point.
Olympiacos should be able to buy their own players. Having said that, it does feel nice to acknowledge that they are now our feeder club and not the other way around. So, but I think I would like to know, what is the plan for Boly? What is the plan for Silva? And overall, I don't think anyone would disagree that in the second half of the last season, right wing was one problem position, if not the problem position. And we just need to understand that, we had Origi there, crap as he was, he's now gone. So we need to think, who have we brought in? We've never really replaced Johnson. That's how I would sum it up. We've never really replaced Johnson. Maybe we could get him back. Because after all, every player that we send to Spurs comes back eventually, like a boomerang. Whether it's Andy Reid, Michael Dawson, Steve Hodge, there's a big track record of players going to Spurs and back again.
Rob, do you think
come back? I can't remember whether Jenas came back.
Jenas did come back, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think our summer business is done in that sense, in terms of wingers, or do you think there's still a few more targets that we're looking at?
Curious about the signing of Sousa. I mean, clearly he looks like a cracking player, but where does he slot in? Where does he slot into? Is he being bought to play on the right? Because I'm not sure that's what he's been doing in Argentina.
That's not what heat map suggests. No,
we've now potentially got, if Sousa does get signed, we've potentially got 4 wingers. You look at other Premier League clubs, you can't go into a season with 2 wingers, with just Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. You need options. Look at our bench last season. The bench was awful. We had Origi to come on to try and create moments and change the game, and he didn't do it. We had that Reina from America. No, he's American, isn't he? He was from Dortmund. He was rubbish. Now we've got potentially 4 wingers. Yes, we probably might start the season with Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, but then if it's 0-0 or it's 2-2 draw, whatever, in the second half, we've got Jota Silva to bring on. We've got Sousa. These are players that can change the game. Sousa's fast, skillful. Silva's probably not as fast, but he's very skillful, can play on anywhere on the front three. You need these kind of weapons throughout the season. They'll be the difference, right, between us and clubs like Leicester and Ipswich and Wolves. You need those kind of weapons to go up the table to get those extra points we need to finish outside of anywhere near the relegation zone.
Yeah,
Nuno knows that, and that's why we've done it.
Yeah, and now more than ever, it's become a squad game. Look at the size of a bench that you can have, the amount of substitutions you can make. There will be, I would say, in the next decade or so, you're going to have specialist players that are just like closers for games, that they'll give you a 30 minutes of 100% top quality, and they'll be burnt out, and they'll just come on for the last half an hour or so of games. That will be the kind of players we start breeding, honestly, with the system that's going on. So having the extra players, having the squad, and certainly from Nuno's point of view, and one of the biggest complaints we had last season, and Crypto Boy up on the last show, was his lack of being proactive in the substitutions. Now he's got no excuses. He's got a lot of ammo on that bench now, and let's hope he utilizes it well. And we do take control in games, because it was far too often. It was because we conceded a goal, we're trying to get back into it. Let's take charge of games. And I think the squad that we're assembling, Nuno's assembled, is really positive. I think our business in the transfer market certainly isn't finished yet, and I can see at least 2 or 3 more players coming in before that deadline in a couple of weeks' time.
There was one more question I had for Wolverine, which is, are we still linked to that Porto player, Galeno, yet another left winger? So we have 5 left wingers. What's the link there now? Has that died down now? The Sosa deal seems to be going.
Well, there's still talks of maybe a second bid going into it. There's been no bid on him. But yeah, the understanding we have is that if we sign another winger after Sosa, they're going to ship Jota off. Now, it might be a right winger, but Galeno's a left winger. All the other wingers we've been linked to are left wingers. And just to correct Carlos, because the chat went at you, Sosa's right-footed. You mentioned he's left, so don't shoot the messenger.
No. I said Sosa was right-footed. I've got it written down here. Sosa's right-footed. I said that Jota Silva's left-footed.
Silva. Yeah, Jota is right-footed.
Are you sure?
So the chat telling me. That's what the chat telling me. Never argue with the chat.
I looked into it earlier, and I read on the internet he was left-footed, but
I'll let you fight with the chat.
I stand corrected.
I'll let you fight with the chat. Okay, let me do a couple of catch up with the super chats. By the way, Ant, you're an asshole. You nearly made me choke, right? Let's just catch up with these. And this was the one. Rob chatting away. He couldn't resist the 199 from Ant just to interrupt Rob. The super chat, you bastard, that killed me. We got Sharpie becoming a new member. Thank you so much. Well, not a new member, he's renewed his membership, but the break has cost him his streak. Mike with the 19 months. Congratulations to FFTV for reaching 20.1k subs. Mike, is because of the likes of you and everyone else in the chat. We got 1,200 in the house across all our platforms. There's 600 basically on each of the platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in. Richard with the 1 month membership as well. The lovely Owen with 21 months coming up to his 2-year anniversary. And 108 with the gifted membership. I'm not sure who that went to, but make sure you show 108 some love in the chat, whoever got that. Okay. Please don't forget, though, with over 1,200 watching, 164 likes, you guys. We should be on about 400 likes. So hit that like button. And just to finish that segment off, 62% of the chat agree with Rob. 38 do not agree with you, Rob. And as Ant said, that's the first time you've had a majority in a poll.
That's what made me laugh when you put
Ant's a good troller, I'm not going to lie. Okay, we're going to move on to the third segment. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what's coming up. I'm just trusting my bro here to do his thing. Ez, over to you. The title of this segment is Do You Know Ball Challenge.
Yes.
Ez, the floor is yours.
So guys, we did have a little change up in our lineup because it was supposed to be your favorite Forest Anton tonight, but we made a bit of a switch because I've actually got a life and I've got plans next week, so I've brought it forward. Now, in doing that, I kind of like snookered myself because like, what the hell am I going to talk about today? I knew what the guys are talking about without knowing too much context of it, so I've in a short space of time, in a very quick short space of time, I've put together a little quiz to test your guys' knowledge on Forest and what some of our stats from last season, because that's what I was doing, I was stat packing over the last couple of days, and I came up with some stats which I'm sure you guys will know, but I'm going to quiz you all now, and I'm going to quiz the panel as well. So, guys, get your pen and papers ready, because I'm not going to get you to put your answers in straight away. I'm going to get you to type up your answers, and then when I say the time's up, you can get your answers into the chat, and then I will give you the real answers. And by the way, right, just a disclaimer, wherever you get your answers from, I'm the games master, so final answer goes with me. So I don't care where you get your stats from, but the final answer's on my sheet right here. Okay, so if it agrees with yours, then you win. But okay, so let's start it off, guys. Have you got your pen and papers ready, or got your fingers ready on your keypads? The first question is: Forest only managed 4 clean sheets last season. Can you name what teams they were against? So get your answers ready for that one. That's your first one.
I mean, people are just
One
looking on the
more.
internet, aren't they?
Yeah, well, we can.
all
But some
right.
of you,
Well,
trust
we'll
me,
ask
some
the
of you
While
don't
we
get
get that
them.
information,
In that time, you're not going to get them all. Trust me. But some of them aren't that easy to find. And so on to the next question.
Wait,
First one of
are
these.
you putting this to the panelists as well? Should we
Yeah,
test
yeah,
their
yeah.
knowledge? Yeah.
If
Okay.
you guys were listening, I said the panel and the chat.
No,
Because I'm going to come to you guys straight after to get your answers first. So, guys, write down your answers or have your answers ready. And then when I tell you to, pop them in the chat. And it's going to hopefully it'll go crazy. Right. Second question. Forest had, and first of these answers, I'm sure everybody will know, but Forest had 3 red cards last season. Can you name the players and the games they were in? So Forest had 3 red cards last season. Can you name the players who got the red cards and which games they were in, who the opposition were for those games? So get those ready. The next question is, Forest conceded 2 own goals last season. Who were the players that conceded their own goals? So that's your third question. And going on to a fourth. Forest only, and we complained about this throughout the season, Forest only actually managed to get 1 penalty last season. We did convert it. Can you remember what game it was that we could, and who the goal scorer was for that penalty? So Forest only penalty last season. Who did we score it against, and who was the goal scorer? And this one is a multiple choice for this one. So this is based on Forest average passing stats for last season. So you got 4 choices, and you need to tell me which one was Forest's stats. So the first A is 321 passes per game average. B is 372 passes average per game. C is 400 passes per game average. And D is 690 passes per game. So I'm going to go through those again. A was 321 passes. B was 372. C was 400. And D was 690. So that's all your questions. Guys, get your answers ready. I'm going to go to the panel first, and then I'm going to give you the answer. So you got about 2 minutes to get your answers ready, okay? So
and I'm just the host, so you can't ask me because I can't remember.
Why can't I ask you? Okay, guys. Okay, I'm gonna come to Rob first. Rob, can you remember what games we had clean sheets in last season?
I've just tried to write it down, and honestly, I can only remember 2 from the Cooper era. I can't remember Nuno getting a clean sheet. It maybe if you're including cup games, possibly, but I remember Villa at home and Chelsea away. That's honestly the only two of the 4 that I can think of.
Okay, Rob, any advance on those 2?
No, I honestly can't think of. I'm not looking it up. I'm not using the power of Wikipedia or Sofascore on this one.
West Ham under Nuno.
Fair.
Carlos, last one.
No, I only had Villa and Chelsea.
So what's the 4th? Chat, have you got the 4th? Palace.
Right. I'm not going to tell you. Okay.
Oh,
sorry, I just read it. Shout out to
tell you if you're right or wrong yet. I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong. So the second question was
that is right.
Second question was the 3 red cards. Obviously, the first one we all remember in the reverse fixture last season against Bournemouth. Boly. So can you remember the other 2? One of them was quite infamous. You should remember it.
I can't. I can't.
I've got one. What Moral at Man U?
Yes.
Yes.
That was one.
Yes.
And the other one, this is one I really struggled to find because I had to look through it. So I think this is. So I'm going to leave that last one because I think this is the one that might tilt it in somebody's favor.
They've got it in the chat.
2 of them are correct. And the 2 own goals, Carlos, come on, chip in. Who scored our 2 own goals last season?
Murillo got both of them.
You're 50% right. You got one of them.
No, I know Murillo got one. I don't know who got the other.
Stop with your agenda, mate.
Yes,
You're attributing him 2 goals.
You asked him.
I'll stick with Murillo for both.
Rob,
no, I don't know the other one.
Who's the other one?
Any idea, Rob?
I can't remember any own goals. Did Omar Bamadeli get one? Was it Villa, maybe? There was an own goal at Villa, but I can't remember whether it was him or Nick.
Oh, they've got it in the chat. When they say it, I remember it. They're right, yeah. They're right. You are right, I think, Rob.
So,
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
the last one was the passing average. So what do you reckon? Did we get
Penalty.
321?
Penalty. You forgot the penalty.
And I've done the penalty.
One penalty.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. Well remembered, guys. Yeah. So who scored one and only penalty last season? Who was it against?
I know. It was Gibbs
I would
White
guess
against
more
Brighton,
than Gibbs
wasn't it?
White,
But we
but I don't
still
know
lost
against
3-2.
Gibbs White against Brighton.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was
right.
when that's when Dunk called the ref like a bold twat or something, wasn't it?
The fastest red card.
Yeah.
When we had
fastest
like
second yellow
40
card
minutes
I've ever
against
seen.
10 men and couldn't score.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, don't remind me. Don't remind me.
The bad old
I
days.
agree, Skank. I agree. Number one hater right there.
I love him.
Okay. Right. So guys, get your answers in the chat. If you're really confident, put it in the super chat and
They want to know. They want to know what prize they're getting.
We'll fix the prizes
This
that
is
you've
going to
won.
pay the winner
You've won-
£1,000.
You've won the inaugural Do You Know Ball challenge.
Do we get a
the
choice
prize.
of aftershaves from behind you or anything
Okay,
like that?
yes. Yeah. Okay. I will. You can have a choice of your aftershaves from behind, whoever wins.
Ooh. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen.
If you're watching later, put your answers in the comments as well. And then you can just steal everything Ez owns.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah, I might. Yeah, in fact, that's right. So for the comments afterwards, I'll do a little sweepstake and we'll pick a name out if you get it right. Okay. So yeah, shut up, Pat. Right. So the final one.
Well said.
The final one was the passing stats, and so what did we get? 321, 372, 400, or 690. Anyone want to have a hazard a guess, and then I'm going to actually give you guys the answers.
B.
So 321, 372, 400, or 690. What was our passing stat for last
There's no way
season?
it's 690.
B. The
Given
second
that
one.
half the season was under Cooper, it's got to be the lowest of the four.
Yeah.
And I want Paco Rabanne.
I have got Paco Rabanne.
No spray, no lay.
Okay,
I'd
right.
say B as well.
Okay, so right, get all your answers in the chat. We'll chat for a bit, and then I'll give you the actual answers. So we'll have a review.
Right.
We'll have a word of ourselves after what we've done tonight, and hopefully we'll do it again next week. But I'll give you the answers in 1 minute, guys. So get your answers in, and don't forget we've got receipts, so you can lie all you like. I'll just check. I'll just scroll through the chat.
Eds will be going through the chat. I can promise you that. All right. While you get your answers in, let's have a look forward to the Bournemouth match. And the boys have put together some of their teams. So we'll kick this one off, and we'll get a vote on who you think has got the best team. So just to clarify, this is the team they want, not the team that they think Nuno will go with. So, Carlos, we'll kick it off with yours. It's first on the list here. I'm sure everyone wants to know if you got Murillo in there. So, let's see what Carlos is.
He'll be in there.
Wait, hold on.
The one I sent you did have Murillo in the team, so let's see what it comes
All
up
right,
with.
let's have a look. So, the big reveal. He's gone for. What is this,
Whoa, that's
Carlos?
not right. Where's Murillo?
He stuck to his guns.
Mate, don't even try that. This is the team you sent me. Yeah? Talk the chat through it. What are you saying?
Yeah, so this is a team I would play, not necessarily what Nuno's going to play. So
Carlos, just read it out for those listening on the podcast later on.
Yes.
Formation, what are you going for?
Sells in goal, Aina right back, Boly and Milenkovic in the middle, with Richards at left back, and then Sangare sitting with Anderson as the 8, and then we've got Gibbs White as the 10, Jota on the right, Hudson-Odoi on the left, and Chrissy Wood up front.
So what are you thinking here? There's a few that stick out to me. I don't know about you boys. Richards?
Yeah, that's the first one for me.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm not too impressed by Mr. Williams on the right, Nico. I just don't rate him personally. I just think he's another one who's got mistakes in him. He runs around a lot. He's a bit like Ryan Yates. He tries hard, and Forest fans like him for that, but very little output. Does very little defensively. Just makes a few mistakes every now and again, a bit like Murillo does. So I'm thinking switch Aina back to his favoured right back, and then let's give Richards a go on the left. He played out in Greece. He was involved in the European
scored it.
success. So,
Mm.
you know, when we bought him, he had a lot of potential. He's pacey, can defend. I want to see the guy. I want to give him a chance.
Rob, what do you reckon to this team, Rob? What's kind of standing
Well,
out for you from
a lot
Richard?
of it is quite like mine, but I don't know about the 4-3-3. It
No, it's a
didn't-
4-2-3-1, mate.
4-2-3-1.
It
It's
looks
just
like a
how it looks on
4-3-3 to me. It looks like that thing we tried out away at Brighton.
Confirm this.
That's a
Yeah,
4-2-3-1,
that's a
Rob. A
4-2-3-1.
4-3-3 would have a flatter midfield.
Yeah, I mean the only obviously the question marks are over dropping Murillo and why on earth would Williams be Omar Richards be thrown straight into a must-win game? So
Scored in pre-season,
and it is a must-win, and it's a must-win game.
First game of the season.
I wouldn't say it's a must-win game, but you know,
It's definitely a must-win game.
I like your thinking. Because I was wondering why you bought Richards in, but it was because you're not too.
It's purely because I'm not a big fan of Nico Williams on the.
So that
right
was your
back,
thinking. So I do understand that, and
Yeah.
I do like Richards. I'm hoping he gets a run in the team because I think he's better than Toffolo in terms of backup on that left hand side, and we don't really have too much down that side. So I would eventually like to see him come into the team. But I don't think I'd be starting with that back four against Bournemouth on Saturday. But I do understand your thinking with bringing in Aina instead of Williams and giving Richards a chance. I hope he does throughout the season. I hope he does get that chance. That middle three is probably what I'd go for as well.
Yeah, I think for me, Carlos, looking at it, like, why wouldn't you have gone Aina left back and brought the Silver in?
No, he's. I don't think Silva's been brought in as a starting fullback this season. I think he's one for the future. He might get like some minutes here and there, but I wouldn't start the season with him, to be honest.
I know this is going back to the last one, but Silva is somebody who can play that right wing as well, so it does give him another option down the side. I think he's actually a better right wing of any as a fullback, but that might be Nuno's thinking on that one. But we'll see.
Yeah. All right.
I think that's why we're probably trying to bring in another fullback because he probably doesn't see this Silva as an option, really.
Yeah.
The thing is, you do have a point in that because he is looking for a left back, and I can't see him dropping Aina. Aina's
I think
one of our best players.
He will be covered for right back, won't he?
Yeah. All right, so chat, remember this team because I'm going to do a poll. I want to see which team you like the best out of three. Let's move it on to Ez's team. Ez, over to you, mate. Here comes your lineup. God knows what you've done here.
I can't remember.
You can't remember.
It was only 48 hours ago. I can't bloody remember. Let's have a look. Oh yeah.
Is it coming back to you?
Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Let's see that striker. Yes. Big T up front. Big T up front. And was right. So this was going to potentially be my topic. Whether we
sorry, just read it out first, people.
Okay, yeah, so for the guys at home, so it's a 4-2-3-1 formation. I've gone with Matt Sells in goal. I've actually gone with De Silva as my right back. Centre back pairing of Milenkovic and Murillo, and with Ola Aina at left back. I've gone for two holding midfielders, a pivot with Sangare and Elliot Anderson. MG Dub ahead of him as a number 10 with Elanga on the right hand side, Hudson-Odoi on the left, and I've gone with Big T, Taiwo Awoniyi up front. Now, that was the one debate I wanted to have potentially instead of doing my quiz, whether we go with Taiwo or with Chris Wood. Now, for me, Chris Wood does work well in Nuno's formation, and we saw that last season with the way we played. But I think Taiwo still has, if we can just keep him fit, I know that is the golden question, but Taiwo's got that X factor still in the Premier League. There's not many players like him who can cause as much disruption amongst the opposition centre-backs as Taiwo. So that is one that I think if Taiwo's fit enough to be on the bench, I think I'd rather start with him than Chris Wood. So other than that, guys, is there anything else you want to critique on my starting 11? My right back, for example.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I won't play Silva. We just covered that, haven't we?
Yeah.
I feel like it's too soon for him to be starting at right back. I'm not sure about Murillo starting either.
I think that with Solanke going now, the main threat from Bournemouth might come from the wings with Sinistera,
100%.
Semenyo,
100%.
and therefore I would not be inclined to take a gamble on the fullbacks for this team.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely not Awoniyi. Definitely not Awoniyi starting. It's got to be Wood. I mean, how much pre-season has Awoniyi done? You know.
But Awoniyi's going to get plenty of sub appearances where he will get the opportunity to demonstrate whether he's still got it.
He needs to be broken in,
if he's good, my
No.
argument, if he's good enough to be on the bench, he's good enough to start.
No, because Chris Wood's better. Simple.
But that was going to be my next question. A fully fit Chris Wood, fully fit Taiwo, you think Chris Wood is better?
There's no question mark over Wood's fitness at the moment.
That wasn't the question.
That wasn't a question, no.
Chris Wood for me. If both fully fit, Chris Wood. He scores in the Premier League.
Awoniyi has never really scored a classy goal, whereas Chris Wood has scored some incredibly classy goals. I think he's a better football player.
Does it matter if it goes in?
Yeah, because could Awoniyi have scored that sort of deft little header that Wood did against Crystal Palace? Could he have scored that goal where he beat the entire Newcastle defence, dribbled them inside and out? I don't think so. Would he have scored that 25-yard goal that Wood got against Fulham? No, I think Wood's just got more quality in his locker in terms of finishing.
Could Wood have scored the goal Taiwo scored against Arsenal where he turned Saliba?
And Manu, where he outpaced Rashford.
So
I don't even think Awoniyi knew he was turning him.
I'm not going to argue with you on that.
That's the thing with Awoniyi. Like, people can't defend against him because he doesn't know what he's doing.
I would
so
always take skill over raw pace. Always.
I'll put it out for the
like
chat.
Wood fits the system we play better than Awoniyi does. Awoniyi's just kind of like play it down at channel and he runs after it and kind of luckily jams it around the defender and shoots. Whereas Wood has got more to his game, and he can bring people into play. He can hold it up.
I don't agree. I think Taiwo's hold-up play definitely got better last season, and it is better than Chris Wood's hold-up play. I don't think Chris Wood brings others into play, but like I expected he would do. He doesn't flick the ball on. He doesn't hold it up. He doesn't flick it on too often. He got better towards the end of the season, but I don't think that's his game. But okay, we'll beg to differ on this one.
Chris Wood's playing a bit too deep. I think we'd all agree that. And he always has done.
Turned into Harry Kane,
He is very similar to Harry Kane. Very good comparison.
Well, what's interesting is the chat's back in Ez here, 58%. The question is, who is better fully fit? 59% now is saying Taiwo, and 41% is saying Chris Wood. So
you'd get it right, chat, at some point today. Go on.
That's Ez's team. Remember it. Let's bring on Roberto and have a look at his team. What I'll shout out as it comes in because I kind of know the timing of it. So it's a 4-2-3-1. And he has gone for Miguel in goal, Aina left back, Murillo, Milenkovic, and Nico Williams. In the 6 and the 8, he's gone Sangare and Morgan Gibbs-White with Anderson in the 10. And then he's gone for Jota on the right-hand side, and then Hudson-Odoi on the left, and Chris Wood up front. Explain your logic, Rob.
Right, so I'm basing this off what I thought was the best performance of last season, which was the first half at home against Fulham, where we absolutely steamrolled them. And everybody played well, but got to remember the three key players in that, the ones that scored were Gibbs, White, Hudson-Odoi, and Wood. So they're all present in my team. I think now we don't have to worry about Solanke. We should be trying to win this game, and I want to win it with 70% possession. Right? I'm sick of...
Dream on.
Yeah, no, but if you pick a team for it, you get it, right? And, obviously Bournemouth are going to try and press us and they're going to try and nick it off us. But if you've got enough people in there that are good with the ball at their feet, then that's not a problem for me, right? Now, I want Miguel in goal, and let me explain why. Our number one weakness last season was set pieces, for and against, right? And I'm trying to address them both in this lineup. So I've put Anderson in. Anderson has to be in the team as the set piece taker, right? That is his job. I I obviously think he's a good player anyway, but we have to make a spot for him. Now, in terms of where he would fit in, he would either go in the 10, the 8, or on the left side. But we've got Gibbs-White and Hudson-Odoi available. I like Gibbs-White deeper, right? I think he's a complete footballer. He can tackle. He can bring the ball forward. Now, also, I think it might get the best out of Sangare. This wasn't tested in pre-season. Okay, Sangare's had a good pre-season. I think that Nuno will probably go for Danilo alongside him. But we all felt, I think, that Sangare was sometimes just holding on to the ball too long to try and play the killer pass, and then it was getting robbed off him. That happened against Fulham. Now, as far as I'm concerned, it's absolutely fine for Sangare to play it sideways if that sideways is to Gibbs-White, who then takes the ball forward. So I think that the two of them could complement each other very well. And in terms of addressing the defensive aspect of set pieces, I want Miguel in. That's what he was bought for, right? And we don't find out how good he is unless we play him. I know that we're in the hunt for Ramsdale, right? So we need to work out in the next 2 or 3 games, is Miguel going to be our number 1 for the season? So you do that by picking him. And you pick him in a home game where you're expected to win. So that's why I've gone for that. I've not gambled on the fullbacks. The central defensive partnership is the one that most people would go for. If you like, the gamble is around the arrangement of the midfield and having Anderson rather than Gibbs-White as the 10. Obviously, based on what I said before, I want to see Jota Silva starting on the right wing. And if he has a great game, he ain't going to Olympiacos. If he has a stinker, then that might mean he does go to Olympiacos. But you don't find out if you don't pick him. So that's the reasoning behind my team.
Boys, what are you saying?
I mean, I think that midfield 3 is interchangeable because I think Anderson can push up further and Gibbs-White can drop deeper. Now, one thing I think we all agree is Gibbs-White works hard for the team. He's back and forth and he does cover, but I don't think that's where we see the best of him, So I would actually prefer Anderson doing that job and have it releasing Gibbs-White further up the field. And I think that's why Anderson has been brought in. And I've been really impressed with him. And whenever I've seen him in preseason, he's looked composed. He doesn't look panicked. He's one of those players. And Rob mentioned the name of Genius. I remember when Genius came back to Forest, we were obviously still in the championship at the time. You could see he was a different class. His control, he seemed like he had more time on the ball. Anderson's been looking like that in preseason for me. He's looking like he's got much more time and composure on the ball than any of the other players, and that includes any partners that I've seen with Sangare. So even including Danilo. Danilo has his good and bad points, but I think Anderson is a more rounded footballer, and I think he would be actually, from what I've seen so far, would be my ideal pairing with Sangare. And I think the solidity in midfield would make that 3 very hard to break through for any team. And it's something that I wanted to talk about because of what the discussion you had with Statman John and where he saw the battle could be won by Forest. And I think we can dominate that midfield on Saturday. And I want to see that. I want to see us dominate a game in midfield. We didn't see it enough last season. And I think that midfield 3 is interchangeable and we can see us taking a lot more control of games than we've seen last season. But yeah, I do like the midfield 3, most of that. The only thing Miguel, I don't know. I think Nuno might have made his mind up on it because I didn't see him getting enough chances. He might have. Can
I come back before Carl goes?
Go on.
So what I say about Miguel is remember what I just said, that like we're in the hunt for Ramsdale. We need to see Miguel in a game to understand. So you're going to have to gamble at some point. You don't just wait until Sells gets
injured.
Play him
in a cup game against
and the second, well, I don't know, cup games, it's like pre-seasons, aren't they? And then the midfield 3, I just wanted to, one thing I had written down, I didn't say, I don't know if anybody realizes that midfield 3 is £100 million. It is our 3, it's our number 1, number 2, and number 3 record signings, isn't it? On paper, but that is £100 million. So my point is that if you're starting with Dominguez or Danilo or something, you know that's £100 million there. So I think almost got a duty to find a way to make those three work, because that really ought to, if you can get that three to work, whatever shape it's in, whether Anderson's behind and Gibbs White's in front, but you've got to try and get to that three to work, I think.
I think I agree on that, but just based on that last comment, who thinks Nuno's going to play Yatesy on Saturday? Because I think we will.
Well, yeah, forget what Nuno. We're talking about you. It's Carlos. Thoughts on this team? Yeah, thoughts on this team.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like a lot of what Rob has said. I get why he's putting Miguel in there for the height, and it would help with the set pieces. So, like, I won't be against that, but it is a risk because he's not really played much football in Brazil. I think, and so he's certainly not played at the level that he's going to be played at in the Premier League. So it would be risky, but I won't be against it. I'd be fine. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of Williams on the right. I explained that earlier why, but yeah, I'm fine with the back four. Murillo, fine, but I wouldn't play him. But that's okay. Gibbs White, I think he's wasted there. I think he can do the job there, but I think he would be wasted there. And we've got other players that can play that position that can do it better. I think like Danilo, Dominguez. Right.
So what would you do with Anderson then?
Well, I would have played Anderson where Gibbs White is. If you look in my team, I put Anderson there where Gibbs White is.
You're talking about Danilo and Dominguez, etc. Like, yeah, it's a lot to fit in, isn't it?
Yeah, look, we've got options, haven't we? We've got options, and I don't think there's any right or wrong with these three midfielders at the moment. Like, there's so many combinations we can play.
Yeah.
It's a great problem to have in it. And I agree with Rob. I think Gibbs White can play there, but I feel he'd be wasted there. I'd rather, if he wasn't going to play in the 10, I'd rather have him on the bench and play someone like Danilo or Dominguez there, and then when Anderson's had enough, bring Morgan Gibbs White on as another option in that position rather than play him deep and potentially waste him a little bit. But I think he can do that job.
Yeah.
Can I come back on those two?
No.
On those 2 points? No, he just made 2 points about
you get 2 sentences.
Okay.
I'll catch up with Super Chat.
Miguel has played about the same number of games for Corinthians as Murillo did. Right? So that's my point about Miguel having not played enough football. And secondly, slightly longer point, this season for me is about Gibbs White making his place in the England squad. Now, as playing as a 10, his competition is Foden and Bellingham. If he can prove that he can do a job in a deeper role, there's a chance for him to get in, because that was a problem position for England. They had Alexander-Arnold and all sorts of people. Conor Gallagher tried out in that position. If Gibbs White shows that he can work as an 8, he gets in the England team. So that's my answer to that.
Yeah, but I don't care about what he does with the England team. I care what he does.
Well, you're a Scottish.
Exactly. So don't freaking bring your England agenda here. Right, let me catch up with the super chat. So, John, my man John up the road from me. Thank you for the 199. Carlos is on crack. I'm loving the Carlos abuse tonight. Absolutely loving it.
You will be back on. You will be back on.
For that. As DJ's asking for the FPL code, can you chuck it in the chat for the? If you got an FPL team, join the FFTV league. Ez will chuck it in the chat for you guys. And Crypto, thanks to I'm not reading that out, Crypto, but I'll let Rob read that.
Yeah. I'm over him. I'm completely over him.
Yeah. Okay, there's nearly 1,500 of you guys in here. Absolutely crazy on the debut of the Forest Forum. If you got any better names, by the way, for this show, chuck them in the comments down below.
I had better names.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yes,
and also, just a quick reminder, with over 1,500 of you, there's 500 on YouTube, 1,000 watching on Twitter, 224 likes. Get those likes up. And a quick reminder, because you guys have gone crazy with these tickets for the beautiful giveaway. Callum Hudson-Odoi signed shirt. Forget that. The Insta prizes, Aina, Elanga, Sangare, signed and framed. These are worth over 250 quid. Hit ticket number 99, 199 or 299 respectively. You Insta win that. And you're still in the prize draw for the Callum Hudson-Odoi ticket. The link's pinned in the chat. Or scan Murillo right here. It will take you straight there. If you Insta win the Sangare shirt, drop me a message and I may make you an offer on it. I need to upgrade my one there. Okay. So, beautiful Keith sneaking one in there. Keith with the £2. The crack problem is getting out of hand. Carlos, man. He isn't from Colombia, right? Okay. Carlos is a cool Colombian name. We've seen it and stuff, right? Don't do the crack jokes. All right. So very quickly, as quick fire answers for the chat. I'm sure they've probably all forgotten about it. While you're doing that, the winner in the chat size of the best team in fourth place with 6% of the vote was Carlos with his team there.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Appreciate the support.
Yeah, that's it. They're loyal to you. That 6%, man. They're loyal. Yeah. In third place with 28% of the vote was Ez's team. In second place with 31% of the vote was Don't Like Any of Them. And the winner, maybe because it was the last one on and nearest to memory, was Rob with 36% of the vote. Rob's having a storming day on the polls today. Oh my God. We're not doing election speeches, Rob. It ain't one of them ones, mate.
Two wins.
Acceptance speeches. So, Ez, give us those answers for the chat.
Okay, right. I'm going to run through these answers, guys. So get them in the chat. Get your answers in the chat. So here we go. First question was the 4 clean sheets. The guys between them did get it. So it was West Ham 2-0 at home, Villa 2-0 at home, Chelsea away, and the Palace 0-0 was the other one. So, yeah. I am at SB, mate. And the Legend. 3 red cards last season, again, you didn't get the last one. So the last one I'll save till the end. Boly, obviously, against Bournemouth, which was shocking, 2 yellow cards. Worrell against Man U, which cost us a game. And the other one was Niakate against Brentford at home. So that was the other red card we had last season. The 2 own goals, one they got right was Murillo. The other one was Bamadelli. So Bamadelli with a.
Who was that against?
I can't remember.
Was it Brighton?
Yes, it was a Brighton game.
Yeah.
Okay. So Forest scored 1 penalty. You've already got this one. The MG dubbing again in the Brighton game. How many passes average did Forest get? So the numbers weren't random. These were stats from a few other teams. So the 3-2-1 was actually Sheffield. So they had the lowest pass stats last season. The 690, as you probably guessed, was Man City. The 400 and the 372. So the 372 was actually Nottingham Forest, and the 400 was Brentford. Now, Brentford obviously just finished ahead of us. So we're looking at the gap of the teams either side of us. So Forest need to really improve on that stat. 372 passes per game. Let's hope by the end of next season we'll get better than that. So guys, just put your answers in the chat. I'll just pick someone out randomly and we'll contact you in a second.
You get him some S-Sense. Fantastic.
You can choose some S-Sense. Yeah.
He smells delicious. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the first episode of the Forest Forum. Give us your feedback in the comments, good, bad, ugly, whatever, what you liked, what you'd like to see changed, everything else like that, because we're always going to adapt it to what you guys think.
We'll be back. Carlos will be back. We'll all be back, but there will be a rotation.
I've enjoyed the show. Carlos, just before we go, Twitter, where can they find you now with your gaming, mate?
Well, I'm actually going to be going after this straight online, pretty much. So you can come over to Knocked TV on Twitch, and that's Knocked with a 0, not an O.
I've just pinned it to the chat. What I need everyone to do is just go over and just follow, at the very least, Carlos. He's going to be live straight after this.
A bit of support on there. It'd be great.
Go give him some stick, not support, stick. Just go and tell him how crap his team was and why he's got an agenda with Murillo. Yeah. So go give him some support there because he has given his time up very kindly for us. So make sure you're following him on Twitch and, of course, on Twitter as well. I'll leave the link for that in the description as well. All right, we'll get Matt SB on. Matt SB in the chat, the absolute legend. Congratulations on 70K. We'll be back tomorrow with a transfer video. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evenings and come on, you Reds.
You Reds.